welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's an author, walker, as well as a speaker, no other than Mr. Reino Gevers. Welcome, Mr. Reno, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Well, I think you summed it up nice and neatly. I'm happy to be on your show. I'm born and bred South African, but I've been living in Europe for most of my life and in Spain for the past 8 years. I've walked the famous pilgrimage route, the Camino, more than a dozen times over the past 15 years, and I try to make it a habit to walk one of these pilgrimage routes every year, or part of the pilgrimage. There are several routes. Most famous one is the Camino, uh, Camino Frances from France, Jean-Pierre Le Port, French town on the Spanish French border, and it's 800 kilometers to Santiago. But there are many other routes as well, many alternative routes that few people know about. And my pilgrimage routes have been the inspiration for most of my books.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Reno. Thank you. And today let's talk about the writing process of your books. Your work spans inspirational nonfiction, historical fiction, and memoir. What is the core intention or question that connects all your writing, regardless of genre?
Well, I think my primary motivation is to inspire the reader into the theme of experiential spirituality. Experiential spirituality is different from religion. Religion tells you what to believe and how to behave. It's mainly from the head mind. It can be an instrument to experience spirituality, but I see it merely as a method, as an instrument. While experiential spirituality, which comes from the word itself, is very much a feeling, an inspiration that comes from the heart. Now, if we look at medieval times, there was a stage in the European Renaissance when people contemplated in front of a picture, a painting, and got inspired spiritually. The word was secondary, or by liturgy, by singing, same as in the Buddhist tradition, people chanting a mantra. And through chanting a mantra, they experience spirituality. And the hiking on a pilgrimage route is very much the same, especially when you're walking alone on a path that has been walked by pilgrims for many centuries. You feel inspired by these pilgrims who have walked this path for many centuries, for many generations, and you uh, get a feeling for what questions those pilgrims had. And those questions were very much the same questions we as modern human beings have today. The question is, where do I come from and where do I go in life? This question mainly comes at a later stage or in the middle of a lifetime. When you're 20 years old, you basically have the feeling life continues forever. But as you grow older, you realize I have only so many summers left in my life. And what am I going to do with those summers? What is my purpose? What is my meaning? And it's different for every human being. Every human being is unique.
Definitely, Mr. Reno, totally. Well, I agree with you. The themes in your books is all about resilience, self-discovery, and pilgrimage. Feel deeply personal. How do you navigate the vulnerability of mining your own life for universal lessons?
Well, this is the essential lesson you have when you do a pilgrimage route alone. You build emotional resilience. Mainly, it's to transmute a topic or a theme that you are confronted during a particular chapter in life. Which is in my case, it was on my first pilgrimage walk, it was feeling completely frustrated in the work I was doing. I was a journalist in the media industry, and the whole media industry was going through rapid change at that time. And I felt very frustrated. I was in a dysfunctional marriage, and that prompted me to ask many questions. Now, every process of pain in life, and we always have those chapters where we go through a pain. When you go through a pain or a trauma or a challenge, you dig very deep into yourself to find answers. What does this mean? What does this challenge mean? But and there, if you reflect uh, the chapters of pain going back many years, you realize that all those difficult chapters had a meaning, they had a purpose, and led you onto a particular path. In my case, it was redefining my whole purpose in life, which was from going from going from journalism to more into writing, to writing about people, and to put the people issue more into the middle. And I feel far more fulfilled this way. I also have a podcast where I interview guests on topics of spirituality, on purpose, on self development. And the many people I spoke to, the many hundreds of people I met on the Camino, it's always a similar question that those people who have gone through a painful process, through a pain in life, uh, do find do find answers, and brings them forward on a consciousness level, on a far deeper level. And if you see those chapters of pain in your life from that perspective, it's far easier to overcome those painful chapters. And we always have them in life, but you have people who go through those painful, difficult stages very quickly, and you have people, and those people are most people who have suffered some pain in life, who are then defined by that pain. They can't move on. It's maybe a divorce, for instance. They are continuously in that process of blaming that ex partner for everything that has gone wrong in their life, instead of moving forward and asking themselves, well, what did that teach me? What did that teach me on a consciousness level?
Interesting, interesting. Mr. Reno, you've spoken about writing as a path to healing. Can you describe the alchemy of the process? How does putting words to an experience transform the writer as much as it informs the reader?
Yes, well, that's an interesting question, because uh, the writing process, especially the creative writing process, I find, for me personally, it comes when I go on a walk, when I just open myself to whatever comes from the universe. And that's when I've had my most inspired ideas, especially when I was out in nature. And those ideas then flow into words. Whenever I have so called writer's block, that's when I've been sitting in a chair for too long, and those ideas no longer flow. But then when I go for a half-hour walk in nature, I come back and I suddenly have a new idea to move forward and to put those ideas into words. This is especially the case when I wrote my last book, Sages, Saints, and Sinners, which is a book about the Black Plague in Europe of the 14th century, when nearly two-thirds of the population was wiped out by this plague. And it has many similarities to what we went through during COVID. But my two characters, Isabel and Geronimo, it's a nun and a monk that fall in love during this very difficult period where the whole world falls apart, literally, and the landscape is devastated by this plague. Villages, towns are left empty of human population, and by through this writing process, well, I would really describe it that it was a process of almost falling in love with my characters, and I couldn't really stop letting go of them. At some stage, of course, you have to end the book, and I really enjoyed writing that book, and so it's I think for me personally a process of surrendering to whatever comes from the universe.
So, Mr. Reno, how has your background living and working across the multiple cultures fundamentally shaped your approach to storytelling and structure of your narratives?
Well, I personally believe, and especially having grown up in apartheid South Africa, racial discrimination, and we're seeing a lot of that in the current narrative globally, where the person who is different is vilified as the enemy. And this is a very dangerous process and a very dangerous ideology, because I firmly believe that a divine purpose is the diversity of life. And Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who won the Nobel Peace Prize, he was one of the very active anti-apartheid campaigners, described the universe as a beautiful garden with many different flowers, with many different trees. And the same goes for human cultures, many different cultures, languages, religions that all complement each other. Every religion, every culture, every language, every race has a magical power, but only as a humanity as a whole. That's when the beauty of it all comes to the fore. So when we withdraw from that complexity of life and go into this false narrative of our culture, our religion, our race is superior to other races, we disconnect from the spiritual. We disconnect from the spiritual, from our true life purpose. Our life purpose is is love for creation. And I mean love for all of creation, not only the humans around us, but also love for the animals around us, and preserving the ecosystem, looking after it. I think that is one of the biggest challenges humanity is facing at the moment, or for the next few generations, is to preserve our beautiful earth, our beautiful ecosystem, because it's a divine creation, and for all we know at the moment, we don't know of any life species outside of our planet Earth. We have this Earth is unique, and so is every life form that inhabits it.
Totally unique. Totally unique, Mr. Reno. So, as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, I'm working on my latest book at the moment. It's more of a memoir, which is focused on my youth in South Africa, very much the theme that I just explained. this theme of diversity of creation and what it means for us as a humanity, and where we go from religion into experiential spirituality. I think that is the process we are at the where we are at the moment. We were very much for the past few decades, if not centuries, uh, locked in ideology. But Albert Einstein described it very well. He said the future of humanity is uh, learning and immersing into a cosmic religion. Now, cosmic religion is one of tolerance, is one of tolerance. It's not, it's beyond ideology. It's basically beyond the concept idea. The concept idea which believes that only one religion, one ideology, one concept is the truth.
Well, good luck to your goals, Mr. Reno, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be an author like you?
Well, I would say any person who feels the urge to write should do so, because something inside you is wanting to be expressed, and I think every human has a story to tell, and a unique story to tell, and if you are in doubt of whether you will find your reader or and your audience, give it time, because writing is a process, and as you write and as you complete your writing process, you will find that uh, you feel the urge to continue writing. Writing doesn't really stop. The creative process doesn't stop, and you shouldn't stop if you feel the urge to write.
Well, thank you for that advice, Mr. Reno. So, can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Oh, there's so many books. Well, when I was a schoolboy, I was greatly influenced by the classics. One of them, Charles Dickens' Hard Times, which I always enjoy reading. That was one of my favorite books in my early youth. And of course, coming from South Africa, all the books written by Lawrence van der Post. He's a British philosopher who greatly influenced King Charles. He was a mentor to King Charles. His books are very philosophical, very spiritual, very much about the divine influence in nature. His books greatly influenced me. And of course, all these spiritual books by Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth. I really recommend that book, Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth,
Mm.
and
Thank you
and,
for
and his
that.
yes, and all his other books, of course.
Oh, yes. Thank you for the recommended books, Mr. Reno. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my Abstract essay is already in sixth season, Abstract Poetry in third season, and my book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 third season, and Food 101 in sixth season too. Geography 101 love letters, Movie 101 review, Music 101 our fifth season, Science 101, Sex 101, fourth season, and Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and Bible Verses 101 are my baby podcasts. So please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Brino, looking back across all your books, is there a single piece of writing advice you wish you could give your younger self at the start of this journey?
I would say to myself, why didn't you start writing earlier? My
Mm.
first book was published in 1990. That was a book in German, a collection of reportages during the transition, apartheid transition in South Africa. And then I stopped for many years. I stopped writing. And I'm a bit sad that I didn't continue writing after that first book.
Yes, definitely. Continue writing and writing and writing. So, Mr. Reno, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Can you please invite our listeners to support all your books?
Yes, I would really hope that you find pleasure in reading my books and that you are inspired by this theme of experiential spirituality and that you take those nuggets to push your life into a positive perspective.
Yes, positive perspective. Yes, people, let's support Mr. Reino Gevers because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering books like this to rise. And I have one more question, Mr. Reno. Beyond the reader learning something, what is the feeling or experience you most hope your writing process and the final book creates for someone engaging with your work?
The just I don't know if I understood that question correctly, but uh, from what I hear is what would inspire a reader to read my book. Is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
Uh, I think if you are interested in any of the questions we addressed in this conversation of spirituality, you will find my books interesting. Uh, Spirituality beyond religion, beyond dogma.
Beyond religion. And one more, Mr. Reno. How do you know a manuscript is truly finished? What is your personal signal that it's time to release the work?
I personally really recommend every writer to get a good editor to edit the manuscript. And if not one, a good editor, at least two editors to thoroughly go through your manuscript. Because as a writer, you often miss mistakes, repetitions. And any aspiring writer should always have a critical eye on his or her work, knowing that a manuscript is only complete once that fine tuning of the manuscript has been done through thorough editing.
You advocate for a walk and run marathon. How does your physical movement and being in nature directly influence your cognitive and creative process? Mr.
You
Reno.
know, there's an interesting study by the University of Barcelona
Mhm.
that you need only spend 15 to 20 minutes in the blue and green spaces of nature to radically reduce your stress levels. If you are under stress as a human being, you're in fight or flight mode, which means you are in your lizard mind and you can't open yourself for the creative process if you are under stress. If you de-stress, if your stress hormones, your cortisol hormones drop when out in nature, you will immediately feel more relaxed. And that's when your prefrontal cortex, your creative process, then kicks into motion.
Well, Mr. Reno, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.
Monica people, see you soon.